Hello, good afternoon. This is Sekou on Sekou's radio, and today our guest is Teresa Stanley. Teresa Stanley is a professional singer and a professional voice teacher. So we're gonna interview Teresa to find out some of the secret of singing, taking voice lessons, and her experience on the tour. Good morning, good afternoon, Teresa.
Hi, how are you today?
How are you? So, Radio Sekou welcome you, and
Thank
you can say
you.
hello to Katie, our program director, also.
Thank you so much for
the-
having me.
So I'm not too familiar with. I love music. I listen to a lot of different songs. Today, since you're a professional singer, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Yeah, sure. My name is Teresa Stanley. I am a singer and actress. I've been very blessed to be performing since I've been performing and singing in church since I was little. But I started doing more plays and shows when I was 14 years old. I started out doing plays in Sarasota, Florida, and working with Nate Jacobs, who is my mentor and the visionary for West Coast Black Theater Troupe. And from that platform, I was blessed to go off to Broadway. I've done 2 Broadway shows. I've been able to sing all over the world, internationally and nationally, with the Harlem Singers of New York. Also, I've traveled internationally with Tiger Paul. I also sung background for Fantasia Barrino. She's an American Idol winner. Also, just more recently, I was a background vocalist on the movie The Greatest Showman. So I've been singing all over the world for a long time.
That's an interesting. So, without further questions, to prove to our Radio Sekou people, how about if we ask you to sing a song for us? You take your time. We want to hear your voice before we continue the interview.
All right. Like what? Something upbeat? Something? Just anything?
Anything. I like some of the Aretha Franklin songs, for example. If you can pick one of them,
all right.
I'll
sing a little bit of one of her songs. Looking out on the morning rain. I used to feel so uninspired. Oh, but when I knew I couldn't face another day, it made me feel so tired. Hey, before the day I met you, life was so unkind. You're the key to my peace of mind. You make me feel, hey, you make me feel like a natural woman. Or you better think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think, and let your mind go and let yourself be free.
Okay. Wow, that was a good one, Teresa.
Thank you, Mr. Sekou.
Let's talk about how you got into all this. How old were you? And you mentioned one of your mentors.
Yes, I was singing in church when I was younger, and my mentor happened to go to the same church that I went to. And he just saw something in me, and I'm so grateful for him and all of the people that saw the light, saw the gift that I had, and said, okay, let me help, mold this one and get her to the next level, at least as far as they could get me to go. They were so helpful in helping me grow. And Nate Jacobs was one of those people. He's one of the first that really just took the time to sow into my gifts. He's a wonderful artist himself. Not only is he the founder of West Coast Black Theater Troupe, but he's a singer, artist. He would choreograph. He would do all types of different things. And I got to, just really study under him for a very long time. And when I was 25, after he started the company and, we were all traveling on the road, that year, there was an award show happening here in Sarasota.
Yes.
And I was a part of it. And that night, it was the weirdest thing. It was like maybe two of the acts that were supposed to sing could not be there. So I ended up singing like twice more than I was already scheduled to sing. And that night they were honoring Andre Crouch, who is a famous gospel artist. If you've ever heard of songs like Take Me Back, Dear Lord, those songs, or anyway, he had all these famous songs, and we were honoring him that night. I ended up singing a whole bunch, and one of his background singers, who is Carol Dennis, she used to be married to Bob Dylan. She was like, I don't know you, but you need to make some money. And I was like, okay. So we exchanged numbers. And a few years later, I saw her on Oprah singing Hell No from The Color Purple with all of the ladies from the show. And maybe a year or so later, I saw her in New York, and she was like, come on, girl, you got to come sing for these people on Broadway. She took me there. From there, I went to Korea with the musical director there. Her name was Linda Twine. And then Miss Twine, maybe a few months later, called me back and said, you're one of my first choices to be on Broadway to do this show. After I got a call about auditioning or whatever. So I really do believe in sowing 100%, no matter where you go, no matter what stage you're on, because I was here at my home at the time. And sure enough, I was just giving my heart, giving my all wherever I was, and it paid off. And I have all of these beautiful experiences that I can talk about and really help others with now. And I'm very grateful about that.
Now, you mentioned that you were a backup singer under Fantasia, and then I did watch American Idol on Fantasia. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, when I did The Color Purple, she was also doing The Color Purple at that time. And that's how we actually originally met. And she was phenomenal in the show, and it was wonderful to work with her. And I remember telling somebody after we closed, or when she was leaving the show, I remember saying, I'm going to work with her again. I just don't know how it's going to happen, but I feel it. And so one of her musical director, who is still her musical director now, Javon Hill, he and I had done work together way before here, because we were just running to each other in different churches and different things, and we were singing in a group together, and he was playing, and I saw him playing for her on a clip, and I just called him to say congratulations. I really didn't know. I didn't need anything or want anything at the time, because I was just like, I'm just happy for the people that I know that are rising up and that are doing great things. So I just called him to congratulate him. And he asked me if I wanted to sing background for Fantasia. And cut to, we ended up traveling on and off for maybe 2 years. She's always... One thing about working with Fantasia is because she knew where I came from, she knew the background that I had, she was always so loving when I told her that I wanted to go, and do shows and stuff like that. So I would sing for her a little while, and then when I got another gig, I would go off and go do the gig and then come back for a little while. And she was always so loving and generous and really just a sweet Southern girl at the end of the day, and really, really a wonderful businesswoman. As you can see, she's grown too. And I'm just glad that I've gotten to stand on the same stages as many great artists.
Right. Now, what is for the up and coming youngsters or girls?
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine this person is good or this person can be good? How you go about that?
Well, the first thing I do is, I get them to use their gifts. In my coachings, I try to make sure that they sing songs they enjoy and, bring things to perform that they love. And usually within that time frame, within the time of one or two songs, I can tell the type of vocalist they are, the kind of heart they have for what they want to do. Like literally in a few minutes, it doesn't take me too long to see if you're really, really into it and if you really, really want it. And I'm very grateful because the clients now that I have, all of them really, really love what they do. And you can tell it. And from there is where I use their drive and their heart for what they want to do to help push them to be, better. If I can help somebody evolve with any of the information that I have to help them grow as a vocalist, learn how to use their breath more, or just learn how to sing from their heart a little bit more. Whatever I can do to help pull that out of them, I feel like it's one of my life's calling to be able to give back in that way, because that's what somebody did for me. They poured into me. They took the time to really take what they saw and say, okay, here's how you work. Let me see how you work. Let me see how you perform, and kind of taper their, it was almost like they just wanted to pour into me, and they could see that I had a heart for it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I start off with. If your heart is really into what you're doing, if your heart is connected to the music, even if you don't know anything about it, you have an experience that you can remember. Even if you're too young, you probably have parents or people that you admire that you've seen, that give you, that can give you great examples of what it feels like to, just be in a moment and express the feelings that music allows you to express. It's probably the easiest language to communicate in, because it doesn't matter what you sing, where you sing, people can always, with music, because of how wonderful and magical it is, it always transcends language.
Yes.
And anything. And you can tell that in your daily life, anybody listening to this, that you've all listened to music at some point in your life, and you know how it makes you feel. And that's what I'm more so about, is making people feel a moment. And that's what's most important to me when it comes to vocal performance, because if your heart is attached to it, then you'll be wanting to grow and wanting to become better and wanting to evolve as a vocalist. But more so, if your heart is in it, you can do anything. The sky's the limit.
Right. So, for parents who have a younger girl or a younger boy who wants to go into singing, what are the standard operating procedure? We have that in tennis. What do you have in as a voice teacher? How many times, for example, a student should come to you or practice?
I really think that any student, whether they come to me or not, anyone that's a singer, you should sing some type of something every day. And if not every day, at least every other day. Because this is your tool. This is the gift that the divine gave you to use to change the world. So if you use it, you become better at using it, and you know how to use your individual gift to shine bright in some type of way. So